can't afford to get in the business, or I got to cut something because I'm broke. My output exceeds my income. I got to cut somewhere. What do you say? Well, the truth is, the sad truth is, many of the people who need to have a home-based business the most, they're the ones that can't afford to get in. Now, imagine this. What if you had real answers that could actually help? Not answers like use a credit card because you'll make a lot of money in the business and you'll pay it off and all that stuff. But what if you had real answers that actually help highly motivated prospects to actually join your business, to be able to join your business without it being a negative cash flow, even people who are broke? What if you could tell them that there's government funding available, and that funding would cover all their startup and operating costs? And by the way, this funding this isn't a loan. It's not a grant that needs to be repaid someday. It doesn't need to be repaid ever. This is simply a grant. What if they could get government funding to take care of the costs of starting up and running their home-based business? Would that make a difference to anybody? Probably. If they say my only reason for not getting in is because of cash flow, this would answer it, right? By the way, the same government funding we're going to talk about also applies to you. So your own operating costs for running your own business can also be funded in the same way. So let's go on. Your prospects and you do have the ability to do something about how much you pay in taxes. You can't stop paying taxes, not legally. I haven't found a way, even though I still think it's never been approved. But anyway, that's a different story. Supreme Court has ruled already that taxes are illegal and we're bound to pay them. The Supreme Court did not rule that we have to pay as much taxes as possible. They said we can pay as little taxes as possible. So we've got some control over how much money we pay in taxes. Well, how is that? Well, you're about to discover how you can reduce the amount of money you're paying in taxes every single month substantially. Now, less money is taken out of your paycheck for taxes. Where's that money going to go? It goes in your pocket. It's called increased take-home pay. So if you're having, let's say you have $500 less withheld for paycheck for taxes out of every month's worth of paychecks, where's that $500 going to go? Into your take-home pay. That means you're going to give yourself a pay raise. How much more? Well, more than enough to pay for the cost of running your business. We're going to talk about why in just a minute, but what that means usually, in quantifiable terms, is about $300 to $500 a month or more every month. And that can start immediately for you. It can start the very month the prospect becomes a distributor. Well, that's the end result. Now, let's back up. Let's look at the process for how to make that happen. Let's go back to, I started with the end result. Now, let's build to that. Where did we start? Well, first of all, starting is understanding that the biggest of all tax deductions in America go to who? Us, home-based business owners. Now, why would that be? Why would Congress approve special tax breaks just for us? Well, the answer is they want to encourage every taxpayer. Eventually, they would like to encourage every taxpayer in America to run a part-time or a full-time home-based business. Why would they do that? Why do they care? Two reasons. It's a backup plan for the taxpayer, and by that I mean that you, if you go to work tomorrow and find out you don't have a job because your company got downsized or right-sized or capsized, whatever it got, what you got was unemployed. If you find that out tomorrow, that Congress said we would rather that person go home and ramp up their part-time business to full-time instead of going home and looking up the address in the unemployment office. So it's good for you. It gives you a backup plan for income in case you lose your primary source of income. But secondly, from a congressional standpoint, from a Washington standpoint, it helps the economy. You know, it's large business that got our government in our country into a recession. It's small business that got it out of it. Small businesses have been called the backbone of the American economy, the heartbeat of the American economy, the bloodstream of the American economy. I mean, it's all those things. It's what drives our economy. It's small business. Where does small business start? Usually with a part-time home-based business. In fact, most of you probably know there was a time way back when there was a part-time home-based business being run out of a garage by a guy named Bill Gates. He started tinkering with computers, or something that might be called computers. And did that part-time home-based business end up paying some taxes? Oh yeah, oh yeah. Now, the next question Congress asks themselves is, what do we have to do to try to get people to start home-based businesses? Everybody is overworked as well as underpaid. So how do we get somebody who's overworked to take on something new? Well, it usually requires incentives to get started. Now, what's the most common incentive? The common denominator is usually cash. It's money. Now, money may not be the most important thing in the world, but it kind of ranks up there with oxygen, right? So most people will do things for money they wouldn't do not for money. Now, if you don't believe me on that, let me ask you a question. If you have a W-2 job, probably not. So they said we need to, Congress said we need to provide incentives for people to start a home-based business, but then we need to also provide money to pay the operating costs. So once they get in, once they pay your startup costs, that gets them into the business, but then how do they run the business? They need tools, they need to go to meetings, they need to go to conference, and there's lots of expenses. So we need to pay for those too. This is Congress saying we need to pay for those too. And then to keep the business active, because this whole concept doesn't work unless they keep the business active. To keep it active, we've got to provide some ongoing rewards. So those were three conclusions that Congress made. Now, they then looked at what hoops do we need to make people jump through? What are the qualifications? If you want to do anything, you're going to work for somebody or you want to earn some income, you got to meet certain requirements, right? What requirements do you need to make in order to get this kind of money from the government? Well, their answer was any taxpayer who runs a real home-based business. Now, by legitimate home-based business, what I mean is it's not a hobby that you do part-time occasionally, but a real business, either on a full-time or part-time basis. They said you need to meet only 3 requirements. Here are the 3 requirements that they laid out and how easy it is to meet them. The first one is run your business on a regular and consistent basis. That's because they want you running your business like a business, not as something you do to fill in spare time. This is not like reading a book when you have some spare minutes. They want a commitment to it. Now, the tax courts have ruled that could be as little as 3 to 4 hours a week to qualify for tax benefits. Now, I never tell people that's what's recommended because they'll never get financially free if they only work the business 3 to 4 hours a week. But theoretically, they could just to get the tax breaks. That's requirement number 1. Number 2 is run your business with the intent to make a profit. Be trying to make a profit. The key word is intent there. You do not need to make a profit before claiming the tax breaks. The IRS and their auditors are quite aware that on paper at least, most businesses will lose money in the first year or 2. Now, I'm going to show you ways that you're not really losing money, but you will look like you are on paper. Okay, so when you look like you're losing money on paper, that means you don't pay taxes on some of your income. So you don't need to make a profit first. You need to make a profit eventually, but not at first. Number 3, finally, keep good records. I found a way I'm going to introduce you to a little later in this webinar that will let you keep bulletproof tax deduction records in 3 to 5 minutes a day. It literally has got down to a point for me, because I do this every day, it's gotten so refined that it takes me about probably less time to do my record keeping for my tax deductions as it does to brush my teeth. And literally it's that easy, that quick. That's it. By doing just those 3 things, almost anybody can qualify to put how much extra cash in their pocket? $4,000 to $6,000 is kind of an average. Now, that's not a scientifically developed number, but it's based on reports that I've gotten from people I've been coaching and counseling and speaking to over the last 10, 12, 14 years. So somewhere in this ballpark, $4,000 to $6,000 extra cash in their pocket per year, every year. So where does that cash come from? Well, it comes from new additional tax refunds. You see what Congress, well, first, why that amount? Why that amount? They said $4,000 to $6,000 is enough to cover the cost of operating an average home-based business. In fact, I think it's more than enough to cover the cost of it. When you figure the cost of authorship and conventions and tools and meetings and what have you, $4,000 to $6,000 a year extra money in your pocket to cover those costs, that's probably more than enough. And your prospects, and of course you don't need to wait till April 15th to get your hands on the refund. If you remember, Congress said that they're going to provide money to cover operating costs. Well, operating costs happen every year. if you want to order some brochures to use for marketing, you can't tell the tools company that I'll pay you next April after I get my tax refund. You got to be able to pay those on as you go. So Congress said, okay, we're going to give you a way to do that. Your prospects and you can get 1/12 of your new additional refund amount every single month, and that can start immediately. It starts today for you. For your prospects, it starts the day they get in. Well, how does that work? Well, here's an example. Let's say your home business tax deductions, you can estimate these pretty accurately with the materials I'm going to offer to you. Home business tax deductions, let's say they're going to increase your annual refund by $4,000 to $6,000 a year. Let's take 5 as an average, 5,000. So let's say your home business tax rates are going to give you a $5,000 a year tax refund increase. If you divide 5,000 by 12, the number of months in a year, you come up with about $400. That means that you simply go to your payroll office and you tell them to withhold $400 less out of your monthly wages for taxes. There's a process for doing that where they don't get a vote, they don't report anything, you control it, but before you walk in there, you want to know exactly what the right number is, because at the end of the year, you don't want to end up owing any taxes, and you don't want to get a refund saying less than what you've been getting. So I want to show you how to precisely estimate what the additional refund will be, divide that by 12, and then you can change the amount of money being withheld from your paycheck for taxes. Now, by taking less money out of your paycheck, that's going to put more money in your paycheck, right? Of course. Well, let's look at that. If you increase your take-home pay, if your increase in take-home pay is about $400 a month, beginning next month or the month they join, it gives people a reason to get in and to learn about and take advantage of the tax breaks immediately. And part of this webinar, we're going to talk about how that locks people into your business. Why is that important? It's not to take advantage of them. It's to give them a reason to stay long enough to be successful. There is one network marketing company I'm aware of where their top income earner is famous for saying, I'm not the first person to get into business. I'm the first person that got in that didn't quit. So that's what we're looking at. How do you get people to stick with it until they make money? Now, that extra $400 a month I'm talking about, that's just in tax savings alone. That doesn't even touch what they're going to earn by working for your company. That doesn't include any commissions or bonuses for the work they're going to do. So just the tax breaks alone, by trying to make a profit, by trying to make a business, they can be in profit. They can be saving more in taxes than the cost of the business before they can even spell the name of your business or understand the products, literally. $400 a month every month, that's more than enough to pay for the cost of running almost any home-based business that I'm aware of. So that being the case, then what? Every dollar they earn in commissions and bonuses, that's going to be profit. See, think of your business as having a storefront business. You got a front door, and you got a bucket on the left, bucket on the right inside the door. Okay, bucket on the left is labeled expenses. Bucket on the right is labeled profit. Okay, whenever somebody comes in and buys something from you, you put their receipt in the bucket called expenses until there's enough receipts in there to pay your expenses. Then anything after that, you put in the bucket called profit. Well, if Uncle Sam is going to be paying for your expenses, then your bucket labeled expenses can disappear. Those can be paid for automatically by the government, by the tax grant. Now, it's not really a grant. It's not really the government. It's your money, but it's your money which you cannot keep your hands on any other way. It's the only way you get this money back in your pocket instead of going to the Treasury Department. Now, knowledge is power. We've all heard that. We believe it. But what's lack of knowledge? I believe, my opinion, is lack of knowledge is expensive. How expensive is it? Well, if you're a taxpayer that doesn't have a home-based business, so you don't qualify for all these breaks we're talking about here, you've overpaid your taxes by about $400 this month, just this month alone. And that's just like last month, and it'll be just like next month. You can't stop overpaying those taxes by about $400 a month until you get into a home-based business. Somebody without a home-based business cannot stop this. The only way to stop the bleeding, to put that $400 plus or minus in your pocket every month as cash, is to get into an active home-based business with a profit intent and keep decent records. bleeding to death from taxes. When will it finally end? Your prospects, you can tell your prospects that they can stop overpaying their taxes and begin to increase their own take-home pay. When? The very day they get into the business, not one day sooner. If they sign up tomorrow, it costs them more in overpaid taxes than if they sign up today. It's that simple. Now I got to ask, here's a question. Could what you've just been exposed to, could that help you recruit people who have financial concerns? People who say, I'm motivated, I want to do it, I need a business, this sounds like a perfect one for me, but I'm broke. If you could say to them the government will fund the cost of starting and running your business, they'll do that by reducing your taxes by thousands, putting hundreds of dollars a month extra cash in your pocket. Literally what you're saying is Uncle Sam will pay you to run a home-based business. This could also help indecisive prospects who get off the fence. Those who say, I want to think about it, the cost of procrastination is $20 a day. If we just determined that the average person will increase their take-home pay by $400 a month, that's $100 a week, right? Divide by 5 days a week you go to work, that's $20. So the cost of procrastination is $20. Now, it's like tell them if you want to procrastinate, that's fine. If you want to wait and think it over, do your due diligence, most of them can't even spell that term. Just say, okay, every day when you go to work, on your way to work, I want you to roll down your driver's side window of your car and toss out a $20 bill. Watch it blow away in the breeze. $20, that's how much they're overpaying taxes right now every single day while they think about it. So tell them to make a decision now. Put off procrastinating. Procrastinate. People who think about getting out of auto ship because they can't afford to stay in, you're going to be able to show them that it's going to cost them more to get out than to stay in. Now, if you can do that, then who's going to get out? Now, as we've said, this also applies to you and your own tax refunds. You can begin doing the same thing for yourself. In fact, I recommend you start with yourself because then you'll be your own best story when talking to prospects. Learning what you need to know, both for slashing your own taxes and for recruiting, closing, and retention. That's not going to be hard. It's not time-consuming. It didn't take a long time. It's not tedious. Because why? Because if you look, there are a lot of tax breaks for home business owners, about 100 or more, but there are 6 that make up the bulk of your tax savings. If you can learn one of those 6 each day for 6 days in a row, by day 7, 1 week from now, you're going to have enough working knowledge to be able to walk into your payroll office and know exactly what number to have it changed to. Tell them how much less you want to have withheld in taxes. Knowing for relatively certain that at the end of the year you withheld 1/12 of your increased refund, so it doesn't affect the refunds you're going to be getting, that you've been getting and will continue getting. So that's how easy it is. About an hour a day for a week. I know some people who just said, okay, I'm going to take next Saturday and spend 6 hours and learn all on Saturday. Terrific. You can learn it 1 week. You can learn an hour a month for 6 months. I mean, however you want to do it. It's not difficult. It takes roughly 6 hours to go through the material and understand it well enough to be able to put it to use. Okay, now let's transition to something equally important. We've been talking about how to save money for you mostly, how to do it easily and quickly. But let's transition to something that's let's transition into how using this information to help your prospects. It's going to help them to get in, to become successful in, and to stay in your opportunity. So you want to get them to get in, become successful, and not be one of your statistics for dropouts. Okay, that's in your opportunity. So that's where we're headed in the next part of this webinar. Now let's pause for a second. This is kind of the transition. This is the 7th inning stretch. If your prospects knew just what you just now discovered, I know you don't know the details yet, but you know what's possible because if you're on this call, then you know me and you trust me, you believe in me, and you know that my material has been reviewed by the IRS and it's been approved. So if your prospects knew what you just now discovered or relearned or learned for the first time, could you recruit and close those people faster? You could. I know people who recruit and close prospects using this approach before the prospect ever knows the name of the company or the type of product that you're offering. So they say, okay, I want to do this. I want to put this cash in my pocket from Uncle Sam. What do I need to do? You need to get in a home-based business. Do you know one that I could join? Yeah. That's when the name of your company or product comes up. So you're not recruiting people based on your product being better than the competitor's products or your service being lower price than somebody else's service. You don't get into that game because you're simply saying you need a business, and I can show you how to save this money in tax. Enough money in taxes to more than pay for the business. You'll probably profit on taxes alone, but I want to mentor you in this business. And I'm in it. I'm successful. I'm going to show you how you can be successful too, and you won't have any money worries because I'll show you right up front as of day one how to get government funding for your business. Now, what I want to show you next is a field-tested system, a turnkey recruiting system. As I said earlier, I searched for, I spent a long time developing a system that would be compatible with whatever else you're doing, so it's not competitive with what you're currently doing, but can help you explode your business in a unique way by getting a little help from Uncle Sam. Now, I've worked with several network marketing companies, and in those companies, people at various levels, from the brand new person that just signed up last night, the ones who are moderately successful, they're making more than they're spending, to I'm doing pretty well, all the way up to the $1 million ring earners. So we field tested what I'm about to expose to you, and it's working like crazy. It's working really well. So I think you will not have to say this would be great, except for because we've done the beta testing already. First, you're going to be recruiting with information everybody can say yes to. You're not going to say you want to join a network marketing company. Do you want to work 3 or 4 hours a week? Do you want to sell these kind of products, these kind of services? If you ask somebody, do you want to slash your taxes without doing any extra work at your day job or asking your boss for a pay raise, isn't everybody going to say yes? So essentially, that's how it boils down to. Everybody's going to say yes to it because you have a little help from Uncle Sam. You're going to learn how to slam dunk on the spot closing with help from Uncle Sam, because you're going to be able to tell the indecisive prospect what it's costing them to think it over, what it's costing them to not yet have a home-based business. Remember, these savings occur the minute you get in, not a minute later, not a minute sooner. You're going to be able to stabilize your retention because I'm going to show you how to prove the cost of getting out are more than the cost of staying in. Again, Uncle Sam's going to help me with that. And you can do it all without answering a single tax question. You have something which is totally duplicatable. It's all in the tools. This is duplicatable because you don't have to learn how to tell people about these tax breaks. You need to learn about how the big ones work to help yourself, but you don't need to figure out how to tell other people about it because that's not duplicatable. What's duplicatable is using tools. So I want to introduce now the system that I'm proud to have finally be rolling out in a big way because it worked for so many people in field testing and beta testing. This is 100% compatible with your own company system, so it does not compete with anything your company already says you should do for recruiting. It's been fine-tuned and perfected through field testing, as I mentioned before, and I got to tell you, it just flat out works. So here's the approach for letting new tools do the work for you. We all know the mantra, let the tools do the work. Okay, these are new tools. They're not substitutes. They're not instead of what you already have. They're additional tools. In fact, a quick aside, I talked to somebody a couple of weeks ago who said they sat down and did a tabletop briefing for 3 people over lunch, and when they were finished with the briefing, one person wanted to become a customer, one said they'd be a distributor, and one wasn't interested at all. So then he brought out the tax savings information and presented what I've been presenting to you and what we're going to go on learning about. And when it was all done, when the lunch was over, all 3 were distributors because they saw that it wasn't just about the products and services they're selling or offering to people or sharing with people. They can do it without having any cash investment. There's no risk in it. The first tool is this one. You got to memorize 3 words to use this. Here, read this. So you mention tax savings to people. You tell people, did you realize that having a home-based business would save you a lot in taxes? Some people say, no, I didn't know that. Some will say, yeah, I've heard that, but what's that about? No matter what their response is, you say, here, read this. You hand this brochure. Uncle Sam will pay you your home-based business. Here's what the brochure looks like. It's front and back. It tells them why Congress passed special tax breaks for home business owners, what the top 6 tax breaks are, the 3 simple things it takes to qualify, and finally it ends with a section called fair warning. The cost of procrastination is huge, and it tells them about the $20 a day they need to throw away until they make a decision, because that's what they're wasting right now in overpaid taxes. Now, I'm a Christian. I believe in paying every dollar I owe in taxes. I don't believe for a minute that I need to overpay taxes. I don't believe that's being a better Christian. Second tool, this is a longer sentence, 4 words. Here, listen to this. This is great for a cold market. This is essentially a sizzle call. It's a sizzle call for tax saving. So these people, it leaves them with a line that says something like, if you're interested in how to learn more about these tax savings, guess what? That's not your next step. You can't benefit from anything I've just talked about for the last 6 minutes unless you have a home-based business. So your next step is get back with the person who gave you this audio and ask them how to get into a home-based business, and then ask them how to get more information on the tax savings. And of course, you just refer them to my website, and I'll give them the rest of the information. Actually, I've got an affiliate program on my website, so you can refer them through your affiliate link if you want to, and you'll make a few bucks commissions as they come learn what they need to know. So it's a great door opener. I know people who have used this thing in so many different ways. Like one guy told me, a gal actually told me that she went through a checkout line at a grocery store, and while the cashier is mindlessly scanning barcodes, she struck a little conversation with her, and then said, "By the way, I got something for you." Handed her the CD. Said, "Here, listen to this on your way home." It's like 6 minutes long, and it has dramatically reduced the amount of money I have to pay in taxes. And I got exposed to it in just 6 minutes. So just listen to it, see what you think. I'll be back here tomorrow because I got some more things to pick up. So I'll check in and see what you think. And that cashier became a distributor for that company. I mean, it works that well. So that's a cold market lead. Other cold markets, if you're recruiting long distance to cold markets, I've got a video, a 5-minute video that you can send people to on a website. I'll give them a web URL. So they'll watch a video, and it does the same thing that the Sizzle CD does. Well, instead of mailing them a CD, you can email them and say, click this link. Then there's another tool, the 4th and final tool, is this book. It's Home Business Tax Savings Made Easy. The 7th edition came out last month, so it's totally up to date. And again, you use the same words you did with the brochure. Here, read this, but it's a different tool. So when they've read the brochure and they come back and say, okay, I read in here that I can hire my kids and save money, but I got a question about that. Whatever the question is, you don't answer it. You say, here, read this. I'll loan you this overnight. Now, you only need to loan to them overnight if they got a question, literally, because the book's short. It's a 14-point type, space and a half, wide margins. So it's designed to be real easy to read and use. And if they have a question, they can look in the book and they can get an answer in a matter of just a few minutes. So it's essentially it's taking the tax code description of the top 6 tax breaks for home business owners, and it's all translated into English. So the IRS reviewed it, they approved it, they didn't ask for any changes. So what that says to me is we've now got an easy-to-read version of the big tax deductions that were otherwise formerly disguised or into convoluted language of tax code, IRSEs, legalese, what have you. Now it's simple to read. So learn to them overnight. Tell them, but tell them this is my Bible. This is what directs. This is what has enabled me to save whatever your amount, whatever your number is per year in taxes. So I can't let this go for long. So I'm going to loan to you overnight. So tomorrow you get it back from me. So spend as much time as you want with it. They'll read it, and they'll probably try to not give it back to you because they'll read what they went there to find out about hiring their kids or whatever, but then they'll stumble across all the rest of the tax breaks and they'll want to keep the book. Well, just do whatever you want to after that, but the purpose is just to get people into your business. Now, the whole new approach to marketing is using these proven tools. You can recruit prospects with a little help from Uncle Sam, warm up your cold market the same way with different tools, You can close your fence sitters. You can end retention issues by being able to prove to people it costs more to get out than to stay in. You might even revive some dormant downline. I know a few people who've, in our beta testing, who found folks who used to be active on their team, but they've been inactive for a while, maybe even off authorship, maybe not even doing anything. By going back to them and using the same tool but in a different way, they've gotten them to become involved again in the business. And of course, it's a way to slash your own taxes by $4,000 to $6,000 a year with help from Uncle Sam. So you can do all that now without you personally answering any tax questions, just using the tools. Here's how it works. I'm going to give you a complete turnkey system for recruiting and closing that will put, I swear it will put your, if you're like everybody else who has did the test driving of this program, you're going to be in overdrive. It begins with a step-by-step guide. I identify 7 specific audiences: cold market, warm market, family members, downline, former distributors, customers, distance marketing. I identified the 7 of them. So I've got a 7-page guide, one for each audience. So you decide who you want to recruit next. I want to recruit that gal at the grocery store that I chat with every time I go in there. So, but I don't really know her. She's more cold market than warm because she doesn't know who I am. I just know who she is. So you look up the page for cold market. It tells you what to say as you're handing them a tool and which tool to hand them. Then it tells you what they're probably going to say after they've listened to it or read it or watched it. Their comments or what their comments or their objections or concerns might be. And how do you answer those with another tool, and which tool do you use? So it's the same 4 tools, but they're used used in different ways for each audience. So I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide to how to use this strategically for success with any one of those 7 audiences. You're going to get a copy of this book, Home Business Tax Savings Made Easy. You need this for yourself. You don't already have it, because this is what's going to let you reduce your own taxes by $3,000 to $6,000. Probably around about $300 to $500 a month. This will tell you how to do it, but it's your tool. It's also a recruiting tool. I want to give you 100 of these brochures. Enough that you don't need to be stingy. You can try them out. I want you to try it out and see how it works. You got to do that. You got to have a bunch of them to hand out. So I'm going to give you 100 of those. I'm going to give you 50 of the recruiting CDs, the sizzle CDs, that get people to say, I want to save more in taxes. I want to learn how to save more in taxes. But he says, I got to get into a business first, so how do I get into one? And you'll say, I happen to know one you can get into. Mine. You get unlimited access to that recruiting video, similar to the CD, only online. And I want to make sure this works for you. So I'm going to give you a one-on-one Q&A access to me for 30 days on 2 different topics, 2 different categories. Ask me any questions you've got about how to apply any of the tax deductions to your own circumstance. You know, sometimes people say, well, how does this work if I'm on Social Security? You know, whatever question you've got, I want to answer all your tax savings questions, but I'll also answer, I can now say that I'm qualified to answer your questions on how to use the tools, because I work personally with all the field testers. So I know what the problems were, what the concerns were, what the solutions are. So if you're handing out brochures that's not producing results, come back to me, contact me. 30 days is, I put a limit on it because I want you to put this into action as soon as you receive it. So for 30 days, I'll give you unlimited Q&A access to me. I'm also going to give you a couple of bonuses. One of them, offer a couple of bonuses. You don't need to take these if you don't want them, but the first one is a trial membership in my Tax Saving Secrets Club. There are a lot of additional tax breaks. I told you there are about 100 or so, and I'm going to teach you the top 6. But there are others that could put extra money in your pocket. So if I said to you, if I could give you a way to put an extra $100 a month, just $100 a month in your pocket for another tax break, would you want to learn about it? You'd probably say yes. So I put this program together where I took 26 additional tax deductions, ones that are not covered in the book, and put them into narrated PowerPoint presentations. So once a week for 6 months, every week for 26 weeks, you'll get an email with a link to click, connect yourself to the PowerPoint presentation. And it may be, most of them run anywhere from about 10 or 12 minutes to maybe about 30 minutes maximum. But each one teaches you a new tax break. But over a period of 6 months, you're going to learn a lot of additional tax deductions, but you get the information in one bite at a time. So it doesn't interfere with the work you're really doing in your own home-based business. That's 100% optional, but if you want to do it, you get a month's worth free, your first 3 or 4 are free, and then you'll get notices before anybody starts billing you. So you can make a decision. You can drop out any time, and you can decide, I don't want this at all up front. You can decide, I don't want it after seeing the demo sessions, or you can drop out, midstream anytime you want to. Certified Tax Advantage. This is how I reduce my tax record keeping to about 2 to 3 minutes a day. CTA is this has got to be the easiest record keeping documentation software I've ever seen. You simply input your data in a few minutes, and it keeps it. At the end of the year, it gives it to you in a professional looking report, which you can send to your tax pro, and which you will have a copy of in your tax file. So if you're ever audited, and they say, let me see your documentation, you pull this report out and hand it to them, the auditor will be out of your face in no time. I want to offer you a free trial of that as well. So if you want to, you can try it out. You can decide, I don't want it. If you decide you want to continue using it, then this isn't my product. It's owned by a company called Certified Tax Advantage, LLC. But I've arranged for you to get a 40% discount. So if you decide you want to continue using it, you'll pay way less than most people will. So that's available if you want it. Or you can, at checkout, you can say, I don't want it. No, thank you. Or I already have it. I'm using it now. Then just check off no thanks. So here's the package. The MLM recruiting system. The success system includes the book, 100 brochures, 50 CDs, unlimited access to the video, the guide to use the tools. How do you use these brochures and CDs and the book, and etc. Unlimited Q&As for a month. The Tax Saving Secrets Club trial membership and CTA trial membership. That's all included in the package. This is the MLM success system that works with any other system you're currently using. Now, here's the offer. Is the value, if you bought these items individually, you pay $365. I've got a website package price for $197. If you decide you want it, it says everything today, actually it goes through midnight tomorrow night before this disappears. It's $167. You save another $30 off it, and it's tax deductible. So if you're cash strapped and you want to spread out 2 months, it costs a little more, but it's less per month. $97 a month for 2 months. That's it. The only way to get it is to go to MLMTaxSpecial.com, the web address you see on your screen. Now, here's my famous decision maker bonus. I call it famous because if you've been on my webinars or conference calls before, here's what you already know about me, and here's what you need to know about me if you're not familiar with me, is I love rewarding decision makers. Because I've found over the couple of decades that I've spent coaching in this field of network marketing that the people who make money are decision makers. They're people who can size up a deal and say, that's a good deal or that's a bad deal, and they'll make a decision. Now, not a knee-jerk decision. I'm not talking about an impulse buy. I'm saying an informed decision. As opposed to people say, I want to think about that for a while. I want to do my due diligence. I want to ask my broke next door neighbor what they think, things like that. So I love rewarding decision makers. So I'm going to give you a bonus, but before I show you what that is, I want to say who this is not for. This is not for the purpose of convincing somebody who's not sure if you're going to buy to go ahead and get this. These bonuses are powerful and really valuable, worth probably more than the entire package, easily worth more than the entire package. But I'm not putting them in to convince you to buy the package. So don't let anybody put pressure on you, including me. This is just for people who already are sitting there saying, of course I want this. How could I not spend $167 to test drive a package like this? Here's what you get. If you make a decision in the next 15 minutes after we end the webinar, we're about 5 minutes away from ending. When we end the webinar, you have 15 minutes to place your order, and if you do that, you get 3 special reports. One is called, maybe you can deduct ownership. If you do this, translation, yes, you can deduct ownership if you know what you're doing, and most tax pros don't, and most MLM upline experts don't know this. But I'm sure how to deduct ownership. Commuting back and forth to your day job, your W-2 job, commuting is not deductible. But there is a way. If you do this, if you do what's in this special report, every mile you commute will put 56.5 cents in your pocket. If you've got a 10-mile commute, you get $5.60. Round trip, you get about $11 in your pocket in additional tax deductions. times the number of days you go to work. I mean, this can be huge. And then number 3, surprise, cruises are not deductible unless you do this. Now, almost no cruises are deductible, even though your company or your upline may say, we're going to hold meetings every day on the cruise so that you can write off this trip. It's because they don't know the tax law, but I do. And I'm going to tell you what the tax law is. And the tax law very specifically says most cruises are not deductible. There's only one way to do it, and I teach you what to do in this special report. So if you're a decision maker, if you've already decided this is for me, sometime in 15 minutes from now, place your order, and you're going to get an email that will tell you how to download these 3 special reports. Again, it's only available at mlmtaxspecial.com. So as you see, there are benefits to taking action. If you're a decision maker, there are benefits to that. But there's also the flip side of that is there's cost to not taking action. Honestly, if you decide you're not going to act on this, you're saying one of several things. Either I'm okay with continuing to overpay my taxes by $5 grand a year. Really? Or you're saying it's okay with me that I won't know how to help prospects who are motivated but just don't have cash. Okay. Well, I'm fine with having no leverage to help indecisive people who are struggling to make the life-saving change to get in. I'm okay with letting them struggle and not make a decision. You're saying I'll be able to live with ongoing never-ending retention problems. That's always been the bane of network marketing is you bring them in the top and they go out the bottom. How do you stop that? So by not doing this, you're going to say, I'm okay, I'll live with that. But at least I'll save $167. And you know what you're saving? Look at this. You're saving about 12.5 days worth of tax savings that you already qualify for. 12.5 days. Less than 2 weeks worth of tax savings, more than pays for this entire package. So that's the cost of not doing it. And by the way, I'm going to make it even easier for you to say yes. 100% money back guarantee. If using this package can't save you thousands on your own taxes and it can't improve your recruiting, closing, and retention, just send back whatever you got left and I'll refund your purchase price in full. Now, I don't want you to return 100 brochures and 50 CDs because I want you to test it. Use the tools to see if they work. So far, I've never had a refund request. But I may someday, but I haven't had one yet because they work. But if they don't work for you, send back whatever's left, if anything, and I'll give you the full $167 back. So we take all the risk. You've got no risk. So I'm giving you something at a dirt cheap price for you to test. Now, if you like the brochures and CDs, I'm not in the business of selling brochures. It's not a profit center for me, selling tools. So I mark these things up pennies on the dollar. So you're going to pay almost just above my actual cost for these products. So you find this 100 brochures work great, and you come back to buy another 100, come back and buy 1,000. I've had people come back and buy both these tools by the thousands. The ones that were in the test marketing program, they buy them by the thousands because they work and because they're priced affordably.